Hello everyone, my name is Connor Darwin, and this is my YouTube presentation for my Introduction to Criminology CCJ1010 class. Today I'm going to be talking about culture conflict theory and the applications of that in police work, in schools, and societies in general, especially for policymakers. So these are my notes. I chose the topic because it's something extremely important to me. Not necessarily important, but it's something that I didn't fully understand. When we went through the assignment, we were given two other options, and with social disorganization theory and strain theory, there were things that I had partial information on going into the assignment. I had vague general knowledge. I knew at least what it was. With cultural conflict theory, I had no idea. I had no information, so this is my way of challenging myself and to retain new information, gain more knowledge. So, what is cultural conflict theory? Cultural conflict theory suggests that crime occurs when different cultural groups have different values or beliefs. In this, there's a, quote, dominant culture where there is not strict, but set norms, expectations, rules, laws in place in a community where these occur. And in this case, in this scenario, there would be a subculture that have opposing ideologies, morals, rules, laws set in place in their culture. And because of this, we can see conflict when the differences are strong enough, when the community isn't as inclusive, when the community isn't as aware of the other cultures within their community. So a key idea behind this theory is that laws in one subculture may be different compared to that in the dominant culture. What this means is that a subculture might have an idea of something that is completely normal and legal within their culture, yet when we see the dominant culture, the one that's more greatly integrated into society, they may see that behavior as illegal, which deems the subculture's activity as criminal activity. An example of this would be if a subculture or one culture, it doesn't matter, if one culture decides that going against authority is a good thing, it's what you're supposed to do, and that's what that culture is led to believe. Yet we have another culture where they're led to believe that you should listen to authority, you should follow the rules, and you should not go against them. That can create conflict because of the opposing ideas. Another example would be immigration. When another person immigrates into a society, they may not be used to the rules, the morals, the norms within that community, within that new country, let's say. And this can also then deem the person to be doing criminal activity, whereas they may not see it that way because of their culture, because of where they came from. But it is very important to remember that one's culture does not cause crime. It's important when you're going through all of these theories to remember that there's an important key that it is important to remember that you can't profile someone. You can't just create this stereotype on a culture or a person that their culture directly causes crime, because that's just not true. Yes, and then we're going to go into police perspective. The theory is incredibly important to remember when you're policing or when you're a school administrator, because it shows that when we understand as a community, as a police officer, as a school administrator, when you understand the differences in cultures, we can help reduce conflict between, let's say, the dominant culture and this subculture. An example of this is a police officer who is more aware and trained of cultural differences between one another, and they're better equipped for a situation where they need to handle a individual who is maybe not from the dominant culture. They're from a subculture and they don't fully understand the norms or the rules or the laws of that said dominant culture. Now, I said previously, school administrators. Schools can also benefit from this when they implement policies that focus on inclusion in schools, a greater diversity, a greater understanding of one another, and blah, 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 and promoting cultural understanding within classes. So everyone knows, everyone's inclusive, and there's not really a dominant culture, subculture conflict within a school. And then another takeaway from this is to encourage us as a society to think of, is the dominant culture's laws that they have in place, are they fair to everyone that applies in a society, whether it be the people in the subculture that may not believe in the dominant culture's laws or norms. So in conclusion, cultural conflict theory states that crime can result from cultures clashing, typically from a dominant culture with a subculture, where a subculture doesn't necessarily want to follow or just don't believe in the dominant culture's rules, regulations, expectations, laws, ideologies, morals. It could be anything. And because of this, there could be conflict within that community or society. And it highlights the importance of just cultural inclusion, understanding one another, understanding one's background, what they believe in, and how that can benefit everyone as a society. So thank you. That was my very brief explanation of cultural conflict theory. Have a nice night.